I was born in Saigon, Vietnam in 1970. I was the youngest of five. My father was a lieutenant in the ARVN, which is the South Vietnamese Army, Republic of Vietnam. He had a hard decision to make on April 29, 1975. That's when the war was winding down in Vietnam. On the afternoon or the evening, early evening of April 29th, 1975, he loaded up a Jeep load of our family and neighbors. He took us up to Tan Son Nhut Air Force Base. My father, his initial intention was just to bring us through the gates and see if he can get the family on an airlift, and then he was going to come out and rejoin the unit. We had to decide that does he stay and risk captivity or try to risk taking the family or going and leaving. So there was a Marine captain, and he said to my father, "Where are you going?" And my father's still in his fatigues and his flak jacket and everything. And he told my father that it's over. Why don't you join, take off your uniform and join your family? As a almost 5-year-old, I can remember just seeing the sand dust getting kicked up and watching the helicopters come and land down, and they opened their gates down. And they would load us all up in. You know, I remember sitting near the back, and I see I remember there was a Marine door gunner, and we take off, and it's early evening, and because of all the chaos that's going on, the weird thing is I can remember some of that stuff that I can visualize as if it was pictures in my head. But I wasn't scared. I can't imagine being my parents. But our first home in America was in San Antonio, Texas. And then from there, we moved to Illinois, and that's where I grew up. As I grew up, I always, remembered what happened and visualized what happened, as a boy leaving Vietnam. And my images in my head were just of the military. I'm a dentist, I'm a general dentist. But I was blessed with the opportunity that when I went out of dental school, there were recruiters that came and asked if I was interested in joining the dental corps, whether it be Army or Navy or Air Force. And I chose the Air Force. That's how I had the great privilege of being able to put on the uniform of the greatest armed forces in this world. The Air Force has always opened my eyes to a lot of different things in the world, reminded me of how much we have and the privileges that we have here. It's funny, you grow up here, even though you're an immigrant, and you realize that you've forgotten some of the things that immigrants had to go through. Just the ability to be able to serve the citizens of this country has been a great privilege. It's given me a second life. It's given me a great family. I've met my wife through the Air Force, and so I'm really grateful. We were in Hawaii last year. It was almost like a full circle because out of the blue I could hear these choppers coming in. And it's one of those familiar sounds that for some reason it clicks in your head and you run out and you look at it. The neat part was those are the same airframes, the helicopters, that were evacuating us out of Vietnam in 1975. The opportunity to see them up close and this time to be in uniform was just surreal. When I went down there and to talk to young Marines, one of the Marines had remembered the lineage of his unit so well. After I told them that I was evacuated as a young boy at 4 or 5 years old out of Saigon in 1975 from one of those helicopters, he said that their unit was one of them in that operation in Saigon that day. So that floored me, and it almost felt like I came to where I was supposed to be, and I was in the right uniform this time. I do what I do out of immense gratitude for the second chance and second life that I've had. Every time I see someone in uniform or someone who's a veteran, I think about the Marine that told my dad to just join his family. I put on this uniform in hopes that I've earned some of that sacrifice that were made 43 years ago for me, in hopes that I can to give some of it back to this country. And so that's why I put on this uniform.